Hey guys, this is Tim with Little Crow Gunworks. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing an install on our new product, the I.C.B.M interchangeable bench mount. So what we need to get this installed is we need a couple hand tools, and then we'll go through the parts that come with the kit. So for starters, you're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench of some sort, or you can use a crescent wrench if you don't have a 3/4. And then the other tool that comes with the kit is an Allen key that you need to install it. You'll also need a drill with a 1/2 inch bit to drill through your bench to accommodate the Allen bolts that come with it. And then you'll need the ability to put in one drywall screw. So you'll either need a Phillips bit for your drill or a Phillips screwdriver. We'll go through the different parts for the kit here real quick. So we have the Allen key we supply for these large Allen bolts that hold the two aluminum jaws in place. So we provide the bolts, washers, nuts for the bottom, and a spring to go with the two jaws. And then this is the retainer plate for the spring-loaded side. And then the one set screw to put through the center of this plate just to secure it to the bottom of your bench. And then we also provide two of these dovetailed plates for you to secure your different bench tools to. So whether you have a bench vise like this or a bench grinder or whatever you have, you permanently affix it to these plates, and we'll show you how those slide in once it's installed. So the way you install this is you can set aside this retainer plate for the time being, and that set screw basically can go in last. And you have your two sets of aluminum jaws. These two, one of these happened to be engraved, littlecrowgunworks.com with the phone number, but the sets you receive will not be engraved. This is one of the original models that the owner and, at the moment, amateur cameraman did for himself. So they won't be engraved, they'll both look like this, just plain aluminum. So the way you want to install this is you pick a location on your bench that you want this to be, and your bench should be, we would say, at least 3/4 of an inch thick. They can be up to 2 inches thick, but we'd say at least 3/4. So pick a location that you want it to be, and just slide the two jaws up to one of the plates. We chose to have the spring-loaded side. The spring goes in this pocket on the right, but you could do it on whichever side you want. And what that spring does is when you loosen the set screws, it helps this jaw pop up, so that way it's easier for you to slide the plates in and out. So for the time being, we can set that aside. So what you'd want to do is line up the jaws with the front edge of your bench. You can use a framing square if you have one to help align and get everything squared away to make sure everything's true with your bench. But if you don't have a framing square, it's not the end of the world. You can install this without it. And obviously this has already been installed on this bench, so we're not going to be drilling the holes, but we'll show you the process. So what you'd want to do is pick a location that you want it to be, get the front edges lined up, and then you will mark and drill the holes on the spring side first. So you mark where those are going to be. If you have a way to clamp this to the bench before you drill, it'll make it a little bit easier, but you would drill your first two holes. So get that marked and secured, drill your holes in your bench, and then you would want to affix and secure this first side before you start drilling the second side. So what we'll do is we'll now put the spring, we can move this out of the way. We have the holes drilled. We put the spring underneath this jaw and then just lower it down to the bench. Get your bolt holes lined up, and we'll drop these through. Depending on how big of a hole you drill, you might have to thread the bolt through the wood. If you drill a 1/2 inch or just over, kind of auger it out a little bit, the bolt should drop right through. But once these go through, you can get them basically flush with the bottom of the bench, and then you can put this retainer plate on the bottom. Now this has a recess for the head of the drywall screw, so you would want that down, and then these holes are threaded to accommodate these Allen bolts. So we'll set our drywall screw aside, and then we just put this underneath and get these Allen bolts threaded into this plate. And once you get them started, that plate's not going to fall down to the floor, and you can use the Allen key to tighten these down the rest of the way. So we want to secure this all the way. It helps if you do this in chapters, otherwise it can bind on that spring. Or you can just push it down, I guess, and tighten it down that way. So once you have this tightened down, you don't have to get carried away with how tight it is because of the way this was designed. You don't need a lot of torque on these to secure everything. So once that's tightened down, then we slide our plate up to it tight, slide this plate up to it tight, and you want to push this leading edge down to make sure that it's not riding up and starting to slide up that dovetail. So you push it down tight, and then you can use a marker or a pencil to mark a line on your bench. And the reason this is important is you have to have a certain amount of an interference fit to make this fit tight so that these plates don't slide. Because if you just slide it up the way it is now, drill your holes and tighten it down, you're never going to get these plates quite as tight as you want them to be. So what we recommend is you slide the plate up tight to the first jaw you installed, slide this plate up to this jaw up to this plate, draw a line, then move this, and then slide your plate or your jaw over to the inside, slide it in about 1/8 of an inch, and then either hold it with your hand or secure it, and then drill your holes. And what that's going to do is it's going to make the opening 1/8 inch smaller than the plate, and that's all you need. That little 1/8 inch of interference is enough so that when you tighten down this spring-loaded jaw and you get it even reasonably tight, you are not going to be able to pull this plate out of there. So that's what you want. You want that slight interference fit. So once you do that, you have moved your plate over 1/8 of an inch, you drill your holes, then this would be the permanent side because this doesn't have a spring. So when you drop these through, these actually might be threaded through the bench, but once you get these through, then that's where you need these washers and nuts to retain it. So we'll get these spun through quick and then get the nuts on. This one is a little looser and it might push down. Yep, okay. So once we have that pushed through, then it's just a matter of sliding the washers on and threading the nut to get those torqued down. And again, that's what you need the 3/4 inch wrench for, or a crescent. Very simple installation process. Okay, those are hand tight. Tighten them down quick here with the ratchet. And you don't have to get carried away with the torque. I mean, you guys are, if you're handy, you have a feel for this thing. I mean, even I would say 20 to 30 foot-pounds is probably plenty. All right, so now that that's tight, we can loosen this back up, the spring-loaded side, and we should have our interference fit. So that because we have that 1/8 inch interference fit, so this is tight, this is tight. Because of that 1/8 inch interference fit, you can't really get this in there. Like I could probably pound it in, but I'm trying to push it in right now and it's not going. So you have to loosen this in order to get it in there, and that's where your gripping force comes, is from that just little 1/8 inch interference fit. All right, so now I've loosened those about a turn or so, maybe a little more. And this slides right in there. Tighten her back down and you're on your way. And that's it. Now this plate, I could probably tip the bench over without getting that plate out. So installation is just that simple. So once you have the jaws set and everything's tightened down, then the last step is our drywall screw. Again, there's that hole in the center of the right retainer plate, or the spring from the spring-loaded side. Just zip that screw in. And that's it. So I don't know what that took, maybe 5-10 minutes. So very simple process, just need a few hand tools to get it done, and you have a way to now semi-permanently affix different tools to your bench without having them to be needing them to be a permanent resident. You can quickly switch from one tool to the next. By the time you see this video, the product will be live on our website. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments, or you can call us. Check out our website at littlecrowgunworks.com. Thanks for watching.